So here we are, Batman animated series tie-in comic hits the digital next month. Well, on one hand, I'm excited for it. On the other, why? Why would you do such a thing where you want to profit only from toys? Let's go to the article and you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this is the whole article right over here. A Batman the Animated Series tie-in comic hits the digital next month. Of course, they've announced it right over here as well on the DC website. So we got Batman Adventures Continue #1 for 99 cents. Available, of course, on Kindle, on digital, read DC, right, on all of that stuff. Not going into local comic book stores. But, okay, 10 page, sure. So we've got that. So let's go back to the whole article. So the whole thing that I'm a bit pissed is that this literally feels like a stunt to get people to buy figurines. This feels like it. It doesn't feel like the proper comic book. But let's take a look here. So Batman Returns is his animated incarnation for a new comic by DC Comics out Wednesday, the 1st of April. So today. So literally today. And of course, for those of you who don't know, Batman Animated Series was popular, really popular. So honestly, like that introduced me to the Batman. I loved it. I've watched everything. Then was then there were another series, and that series, the animated series, was the thing. There was a Justice League and a Batman Beyond, of course, later, right? All those amazing stories that we all grew up, like people like my age grew up with and used to love. So this feels like a good throwback, right? Yeah. Batman Adventure Continues as 6-issue miniseries written by Paul Dini and Alan Burnett. We're gonna keep that Paul Dini name because this is one of the writers, and Alan Burnett in mind. Art by Ty Templation. Batman Adventures will carry out the continuity of the show, which is great. Like, fans wanted something that will go with the continuity of the show. I wanted something, so this is great. Well, I wish that would be animation, but a comic book sounds really good. So Entertainment Weekly reported an exclusive miniseries is set in the same world and done in the same style of the animator and showrunner Bruce Timm and his team in charge of DC Shared Cartoons universe. Great. So if you're gonna keep, the art style, if you're gonna keep, the flow, the mentality, the darkness sometimes of the show, and because this show was really dark sometimes, I'm all in. So as far so good, right? So far so good. Dini tweeted the Terror's announcement Wednesday, the adventures continue on Monday, and tagged DC Comics. Which is, okay, great. That's, of course, the tweet. We've got the Batman over here. Looks cool, looks amazing. Let's move on. So the adventure continues as part of initiative to introduce new characters to the Batman animated series toy line from DC Collectibles. Hello. This is not to get, to please the fans. This is not to get that. No, this is just to introduce characters to the toy line. Like, if this is something that you have in mind doing the comic book, it's like, hey, this is why? They should just go like, hey, this is going to be the great throwback. This is the comic book that we want to do. There are amazing stories. And yeah, maybe there are going to be some collectibles. Don't worry, but comic book first. Of course, those companies, they do make most of their money from toy lines. Like, you can see Disney, you can see Marvel, like almost 60-70%, I believe, don't quote me on that, but I do think 60 or 70% of the revenue comes from, of course, toys and collectibles. Not from the comic books or not from, the movie tickets, whatever. They go from toys, from collectibles. So this one line, for me, is like, it's a cash grab. It's literally a cash grab in current state. Because if you wanted to put out the comic book, I mean, we're going to read the article, but if you wanted to put out the comic book, right, and be upfront like, hey, listen, story first, we're going to be really, with the original story. We're going to do it exactly how it was, we're going to maybe tie in certain things. Maybe we're gonna tease a little bit of Batman Beyond. Maybe you're gonna do something like that. Just like tease a little bit, like, because that was a cool series. But when you're one of the first things that I read is, well, we need to introduce characters to the animated series toy line. This sounds quite bad. New designs are by Templation and modeled after Tim's handiwork, which again, great that they're modeled by Tim's handiwork. But even though I have nice control Funko Pops and other figurines of Batman, right, like the Lumel one, I want good story. I don't feel like just getting more, at least not right now, more collectibles from that series in particular. Maybe not from my current room, but let's move on. This is the issue number 1, as we saw on the DC website cover, and the cover looks great. So that's what I have to give them the credit. The cover looks exactly like Batman animated series. You look at it and you know it is Batman animated series. You've got your Two-Face, you've got Mr. Freeze, the Joker. You've got all of those characters that you know and love back then with the same art style. Good. So far, 50-50. Characters that producers passed over and never appeared before, including Jason Todd, will finally arrive in the animated series world. Dini spoke on this and promised Todd becomes Red Hood. Love it so far. So Red Hood is one of, next to the Batman, maybe one of my favorite characters in the DC universe. And to be honest, seeing him in animated series is amazing. I would love to see that, and Jason Todd definitely deserves that shot in animated series after what Joker did to him, of course. We've gone from Dick Grayson to Tim Drake, and we had left out Jason. What we're doing with this is looking as this as a chance to go back and actually acknowledge that was a part of the animated series Batman story history. For the first time, you're going to see that story, and you're going to see what happened in that relationship. So it's our chance to not only to do Jason Todd, but also the Red Hood. This sounds good on paper, but if you're gonna do this, it's it's 6 books? How many books? Because I forgot. 6 issues. So 60 pages. In 60 pages, how are you gonna introduce Red Hood and Jason Todd? Are you gonna skip, the whole Red Hood storyline, or you're gonna just do a tie-in? Maybe they're gonna do a tie-in into that. Maybe they're gonna write him inside. I'm scared a bit of that, because it's really hard to write him and skipping the whole story under the Red Hood. This whole story was amazing, and just skipping that definitely is going to be a problem, and introducing the Red Hood that way. But okay, so for the record, Dick was Robin for the first phase of Batman, the animated series that aired for the Fox in the early 90s. And late 90s in Poland, but that's a different story. Whose origin was a fusion of his own and Jason Todd's, exactly. Inherited the identity of Robin after Dick forged his path as Nightwing. So this is going to be really hard to do this. I'm not saying it's not doable, but it would be really hard for them to pull off Red Hood. Then he added other characters like Azrael, which is great, and Deathstroke were popular in the show Heyday, and not used but will be here. Azrael is a Gotham to recover a stolen item for the Order of Saint-Domingue. This brings him into conflict with Batman, of course, but the two must work together in an intense storyline. I'm quite okay with Azrael. I do like his character. Maybe I liked him more during the Arkham games, but definitely I started understanding him. It's okay, fine, it does make sense. And maybe I like him a bit more also in the Gotham TV show and the whole Saint-Domingue thing, but it's a great character nevertheless. The creator picks up where the show left off. With no passage of time before the tragic incidents Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, shows in the flashbacks, Templation seemed relieved by the aspect. Exactly, you have to still go with the Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker. You still have to keep that in mind. It's fun that it doesn't feel like we have to deal with the 15 years gap since we told stories with these characters. We can just feel like we just stepped into the things yesterday, because the shows and comic are always out there. They never go away. I didn't want it to feel like there's a big gap and the Batman was old and Tim was in his 30s, anything like that. I'm really happy it just feels like the next day. Still, it sounds reasonable, right? It sounds reasonable. We can take a look at the art style. The art style is resembling exactly what was the 90s animated series show. We can see Bane over here. So, really, you look at the art and you exactly know it's animated series. Great. It must be the day after Batman and Superman fought Lex Luthor and the Joker in the world's finest, because in issue number 1, Lex returns and Robot steals a whole lab from Wayne Enterprises. Paul Dini says it's a semi-sequel. Okay. We're kicking off with the Bruce-Lex relationship in a semi-sequel of the Batman-Superman crossover, World's Finest, because the events of that are touched on. Where did that leave Bruce and Lex after they were busted by Batman and Superman? It's interesting to see the little dueling that goes on between them. Definitely it is. But it sounds like for the 6 issues only, they're trying to do too much, and it may feel like lackluster. Another first issue subplot: a mystery man stalks the Bat family, watching everything from the shadows. They have no idea who it is, says Dini. Okay, maybe they're gonna try to do Hush. Maybe something else. But it still feels like for 6 issues a little bit too much. There's a stranger in a town who asked about a Batman family, who knows them very well and is watching them from a distance, with a mixture of amusement and deep hatred. That's gonna be a challenge and concern for them at some point. The guy is good that even though Batman and the others get glimpses of him, they have no idea who he is or what he wants, and that is a mystery for them to solve. We can see Alfred over here in the Batcave. So for now, it does seem like they are trying just too much. But the animated series lasted 85 episodes and 4 seasons before giving way to the new Batman adventures. It spawned the DC Animated Universe Superman animated series, Justice League. We all know what it spawned, and those were honestly really good. I have fond memories of them. Well, let's move on to what Dini says, one of the writers. It gives me a feeling of pride and satisfaction to know that there are certain elements I introduced to the world that have gone on to become iconic. I guess I feel the same way that Bill Finger, Dan O'Neill, Jerry Robinson. So he goes, like how he loves working on it, and it does make sense over here. So we got some other tweets, but the adventure continue. Well, okay, he ate the letter, it's fine. The little comic series starting this week. And this is all fine, but what I think I've missed is there was passage I've read about it that they are trying as well. Like I must have missed that. Maybe I missed that. Reportedly, maybe I missed it. So there is a thing that they are talking about Batman actually having a child with the Catwoman, which is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. But if they want to do it, it's their thing. But if this issue number 1 has 10 pages and there's a 6-issue miniseries, it's either gonna be lackluster. I think it's gonna be too many stories, not enough space, and it's gonna be cramped, or they're gonna be like, you know what, 6 is not enough, let's move on. But I do think this going digital first and just announcing it like that and just going it, and with figurines in mind, that is my problem. Because if they had figurines in mind and they have all those ideas, because the ideas seemed great, but they don't seem that they will fit 60 pages. They do seem that there will be not enough development of the events. It should be like this. It's like, let me breathe. But maybe I'm wrong. I might be wrong on that, and we'll see how it's gonna turn out. For me, if they're gonna do the bigger release with all 60 pages, maybe I'm gonna purchase it. For now, I don't like digital comics. I don't not necessarily prefer digital comics, and actually, in my country, it's not really easy accessible to get all of those, and the price is just too big for the single issues to go for. Like, okay, it's 99 cents, but of course, on the app on the iPhone calculates it a little bit differently. So for me, it's like $2 to $3, and honestly, I want a better spend on an artist in these times, or to even support one of the stores than just to go at the digital comic. But what do you think about this Batman Adventure Continues story? Do you think it's going to be great, or is it going to be a flop? Let me know in the comment section down below. I want to hear your opinion on that. And in the meantime, well, Stay safe, goodbye and good night. Take care, bye.